Wow, guys, this is amazing. I thought I was testing this whole thing, but I went live. So I guess we're gonna start. Um, let's see if many. So bear with me a little bit, and while we get some viewers, we're getting there. Hi, Kushti Crypto, Main Hamburger, Varium Fellow. Hey, Dominio Deo, Singapore. Yeah, Singapore is quite popular. It looks like my channel is popular in Singapore. I guess it is. Um, I'm gonna try to see if other people will join. So we might have some people on the call if they decide to join. And I'm gonna drop my live stream link if I can figure out how to do this. There you go. All right. Boom. Okay. How are you guys doing this morning or evening or wherever you are? I hope you're all pumped about this new set of developments in the crypto industry. I'm pretty excited about the OCC's decision. You know, this was one of the fundamental questions that I had in my head for a long time because when you think about the U.S., for instance, right? You faced with the dilemma. If I were somebody who was in charge of the financial infrastructure in the United States, on the one hand, you don't want to lose control over your financial infrastructure, financial um, network. On the other hand, you don't want to miss out on all this innovation that's going on the blockchain. Let's face it, the blockchain decimates the cost of transfer. You talk, whether you take Swift or you talk about the internal ACH system that we have here in the United States. These are very cumbersome sort of infrastructure, IT infrastructure that have lots of people, lots of IT companies in there sitting there and trying to get you to use their system, and they have their own cost structure, and it's expensive. Now, if you compare that to, Cardano's network, for instance, where you pay a fraction of a cent, basically to send millions of dollars across the world, it's a no-brainer that technology would in any case, decimate and replace whatever current existing, solutions are. And Alex Mashinsky yesterday actually made it a very good point. You want your infrastructure or your technology be so good that it gets instantaneous adoption. So he mentioned how he came to his previous clients when he was trying to push voice over IP, and he would just show the difference, right? You pay $2 to AT&T to do a connection. I don't know what the cost structure there is, but he mentioned $2. And then you have something that's voice over IP, and it's a fraction of the cost, if not completely free. And when a client sees that, and the difference is so stark, because all that money that you used to pay before to AT&T, the infrastructure provider, basically goes back to your pocket. Or if you want to give it back to your clients, you can do that. And it's fundamental. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm so glad that the United States is moving in a direction where they're actually going to leverage the open blockchain technology, because they are banking on the innovators among us, the entrepreneurs, to push this new innovation to its final destination, whatnot. And that's a very wise decision, I think, for the U.S. government, or United States, to actually to undertake. Now, what we're going to see down the road is that the stable coins like USDC moving into a third generation blockchains, because let's face it, Ethereum is not a good place right now for them to be. And if you take into consideration the amount of money that will be moved, and the transactions that will need to take place, and the demand of the banking industry, Ethereum is just not a good place for them. And if they develop a third generation proof of stake sort of network, yeah, maybe that will have a contention, but they don't have it now. And there are other solutions out there that pretty much can start the process of migration right away. And USDC, I will tell you, USDC within a year, they will definitely move into Cardano, or Algorand, or Avalanche. These are the three that I kind of like. Obviously, I very much root for Cardano, because it is a truly open blockchain with a lot of ethos that comes from openness, and truly decentralized version of a blockchain. And that's where you want to build your infrastructure on, because you do not want to depend on one single entity to be the weak point, or have the undue influence over the blockchain. Then it basically becomes like that one entity becomes a person who would take all this value generated by this blockchain, and try to siphon it out. You see that with Google. And once you grow to a big size, then you start basically commanding the market. So if a banking system wants to move into a blockchain based system, they need to choose a very independent, and by that I mean a very decentralized a blockchain network that isn't influenced unduly by one or two single players. Now let's take a look at what's happening in this chat. B Rock, hello. Where are you guys hailing from? Tunisia. Abdel Karim Sayar is from Tunisia. I've never been to Tunisia, but I've been to Algeria, which is beautiful. Heinz Gassner, hello from Austria. Will only be able to stay for some 10 minutes. You guys have any questions, however long you want to stay? If you got any questions regarding what's been happening in the industry, what's been happening with Cardano, but please do let me know. I'm available to take your questions and see where this AMA goes. It's the last one was quite a blast. I really loved it. So Eye of the King, hello. I love your videos. By the way, guys, if you don't know, Eye of the King is one of the Cardano community members who basically watches the videos of Charles and everybody else, and picks up the highlights of those videos and makes them very easily digestible, turns them into 1 or 2 minute videos. Please do subscribe to his channel. He has a YouTube channel. He's got lots of interesting material there, especially if you're pressed for time. If you want to know more about Cardano, if you want to introduce your family members or whoever is asking for that information, his videos are really good in that respect. Let's take a look. What do you think about bridges between IOTA and Litecoin? Now, IOTA, I remember about 2 years back, there was some fundamental issue with the way that they constructed their the consensus protocol, right? And it kind of blew up on their face. Unfortunately, they had to stop their network because their architecture wasn't solid. It looks like I don't know if they have fixed that issue, because I kind of don't pay attention to. I don't know. They just kind of went away. But the idea about IoT, the Internet of Things, being on the blockchain is quite powerful if they can pull it off, and if they can make it work, if they can change their architecture, maybe, I don't know. And to me, any blockchain out there, by the way, who wants to connect to Cardano is always a great addition. And unlike I started looking into Polkadot, by the way, Heinz, and it looks like the uh, it looks like they require that you buy and purchase and stake a certain amount of dots in order to be able to connect to the Polkadot network, and that's a friction. It's what we call economic friction. You have to upfront that cost and then connect to this Polkadot sort of a as a parachain, and I think that creates a lot of frictions, right? So uh, compare that to Nipopause and Nipopos, that Cardano came up with. All you have to do is just to integrate a certain, snippets of information in your blockchain, or be able to generate those snippets basically, and put in your blockchain. And then you need probably a network of oracles to read that from your chain and then transmit it to the Cardano chain, and you're done. I know that doesn't cost you anything to connect to Cardano, and I think that's a very well. I mean, if you're a chain that wants to be interoperable with Cardano or any other chain, you would definitely go to the one which does not require you to buy somebody else's tokens. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you need to buy anything? So anyway, I am very optimistic about IOTA and Litecoin. IOTA, especially if they fix their problems. I don't know. But Litecoin, yes. I mean, they've got a great following out there, and they could definitely benefit from the transaction throughput and capabilities that we have in Cardano going forward. Let's take a look here. No. Scott Ellis is asking, where did you learn about finance? You don't. For those of you who don't know, I spent my entire career in finance. I'm actually, I'm a CFA charter holder. For those of you who know this, is my it looks like my stream is dead. Is that right? Let me see. Let me see. Just a second. Hola, I guess. I am back. Oh yes, sorry. Sorry. My camera has glitches every now and then. I apologize for that. Okay, where were we? So yeah, I mean, that's my background. I've studied and work in finance, and that's why I know so much, I guess. So I'm a recovering banker. You nailed it, Eye of the King. That's for sure. What's your comment to the Cardano versus Polkadot debate? Look, I mean, I don't think these two protocols, Polkadot and Cardano, are pursuing the same thing. I don't quite understand why Polkadot needs a token, to be honest. There is no need for DOT to exist in its current form, except for staking, I guess, right? Or making that network work. I don't think it's a decentralized network the way that Cardano has been designed and to operate. Plus, I don't quite believe in the BFT as a consensus mechanism that much, because we had that, by the way. We had the interim sort of state where Cardano was working on a BFT sort of BFT consensus mechanism, and it gives finality, but it requires that everybody be online all the time, and or it has a very low threshold for failures. And that requires a certain number of mechanism to be put in place in order for the protocol to actually continue to work. That's why they have slashing, to be honest with you. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I think philosophically, I'm very much aligned with what Cardano has to offer. And there are other protocols out there, right? Algorand is another one. I don't quite understand their governance mechanism, and that basically makes me, hesitant about them. Otherwise, it's a great project with a great, community and whatnot. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. So let's see Connor Keville is asking a price prediction for this bull run. Oh, if I knew that, right? If I knew that, I would just, no, I mean, look, we were at 1.3, 1.4 last time, and I heard somebody saying that this bull run is going to be another 10x. Nothing else is, I mean, crypto is so unpredictable. So your guess is as good as mine, but I hope that we will see prices over and above the all-time high in 2017, because we have actual adoption by institutions, and these guys have a lot of money, and if they see the utility, they see the cost savings, they will come, and the price will be a reflection of the utility of the network. Okay. Da-da-dum. Your clock runs on bar time, I see. I'm not sure if I understand that comment. Stacy. Yeah, Cushy Crypto cannot see the point in IOTA. I mean, look, I can see. I used to work for a shipping company, and I can see the IOTA, or the Internet of Things, where you connect different devices to put data in the blockchain to be useful very much for shipping, and that's a good use case. Yeah, Vio Armada, I just fixed my video. I hope it's working now. Can you tell me if the video, if you see everything? Cardano politician. Eye of the King is asking, are you planning on being a thought leader or Cardano politician in the future? That's something that kind of popped into my mind, because we are having an open governance, a liquid democracy kind of thing going on with Cardano. It's not inconceivable that we will we will see politicians or thought leaders in platforms like Cardano. I mean, I don't like the word politician, to be honest, because I kind of think of them. I used to work with a lot of politicians, right? And they are the type of people who build consensus among communities. They just go out and they say, this is my vision, vote for me, I will do this X, Y, and Z. And then people vote for that vision and those sets of sort of principles. And in Cardano, I think we will have a luxury of picking people to vote for different issues. So if somebody likes my stance on issue Y, they will basically say, I'm delegating my vote to Umed to vote on, let's say, monetary policy, because he's got the background in finance and understands what would be the best thing for the ecosystem and the ADA holders. And but if I have some views that you don't agree with this with me, you can just basically say, I only want him to focus. I won't my vote. I delegate my vote on financial issues to Umed, but the other stuff, let's say about governance, I like this other guy. So those kind of things could happen, and I'm more than willing to, participate and make this ecosystem, better. I would say that's. I mean, I don't know if this answers your question, but yes. I mean, if there's anything that my expertise, my background would help the ecosystem be better, I would be more than happy to help. All right. So, what do you think about the Celsius and Cardano? Lee is asking, what do you think about Celsius and Cardano? Now, Celsius has been on my radar screen for a while. I haven't looked quite closely, but yesterday I basically looked at what it offers, and Alex Mashinsky is a very, very smart guy. I met him in New York, and his observations are so to point, and that I have a huge respect for that guy, and the fact that he sat down with another guy that I really love. I'm talking about Charles. No offense to Crow. I mean, Crow is a great presenter too. Um, but when they sat down to talk about the future, it was just match made in heaven. To be honest, we have a problem with Ethereum. Let's face it. Nobody can basically extrapolate the state of Ethereum into the future and say that in the future, when the network utilization would require that you have very much a scalable solution, we would have to pay exorbitant amount of fees to move your token, and then we have a problem that Cardano effectively solves. And if and when there is a problem with our scalability on the base layer, which is the settlement layer, we always have Hydra to expand this ad infinitum, basically. So yeah, I'm very, very bullish about Celsius Network existing on top of Cardano. I mean, the good thing is that they are an ERC20 token, and they could be ported with a click of a mouse. So if they're willing to to deploy their contract, there are solutions, bridges built in order to run their smart contracts in a probably a safer environment with KEVM. So I'm very bullish about that. Okay, so speaking of voting, can you talk about registering for Crowdcast by tomorrow? I am not sure what if you're talking about the voting and what we are trying to do on Catalyst. If they are having a crowdcast, I will definitely go and take a look. I mean, I've been asked by Door to come online and talk about evaluating projects. I recently I wrote a guide to community advisors how to evaluate projects, because I come from the banking industry and I worked very closely with credit officers in my life. And the job of a community advisor is to have a critical look on the projects and issue their opinion. And that's a very tough job, because you have to find flaws in people's, thinking, and, but at the same time, be fair, right? So there are people, the requirement of this job is so tough that even if you are presented by, with a project that is really well thought out, you are pushed kind of to think about critical things. And sometimes people go overboard because they think that they need to have a critical opinion about something. So they just, make up stuff, and then basically say, oh, this is bad, and this is, needs to be improved. So my guide was there to basically tell them that, it's a balancing act all the time. You cannot just go and say, well, we're going to kill all these projects because, my job is to basically issue critical comments and whatnot. But at the same time, you don't want to give funding to things that are half baked. If there are projects that are half baked, or that require a lot of handholding or whatnot, you can basically give those feedbacks and see if the team actually improves their proposal. And sometimes they come back and say, okay, here are the issues that you had, and here's what we did in order to address it. So yeah, I mean, if I think we will if they ask me to come on board one of the crowdcasts and talk about this guide, I'll be more than happy to. All right. Stacy Wright is saying we're about to flip a BCH. Stacy, aim higher. No, honestly, I think the whole crypto sphere, right, is so limited in its view right now. Crypto or blockchain, for that matter, could be so much more. It could just replace uh, you know um, a lot of things that companies are paying money for. Case in point, right? The banking infrastructure, basically, they pay. I think I did the analysis for Africa, but when I wrote my assessment of Cardano's value back in the day, I think the African banks pay on average 8% of their revenue on IT systems. Now, if you make an assumption that a lot of that IT systems could be migrated without a loss, or maybe even with a lot of efficiencies into the blockchain, then you could have an enormous amount of value migrating to blockchains like Cardano. When projects like that will happen, this market cap that we're seeing right now is going to be peanuts, because the need is so much out there to have a better settlement solution. For instance, settlement is a very low-hanging fruit. When you send money using the current rails, it has to touch many jurisdictions. It has to touch very many different kinds of banks. And by the time your money gets to the destination, you're out 20%. Have you tried to send money abroad with MoneyGram or a Western Union? And I don't sort of blame them. It's just that the infrastructure is so expensive that they need to charge you 20%. You spend $100, you send $100 somewhere, to let's say the other side of the world, Philippines or whatnot, and $20 goes into to pay, let's say up to $20 goes to pay these guys who are sitting there as middlemen. And crypto solves that, really. Like, you just have to have a wallet on your end and the wallet on the other end, and ways of converting Cardano ADA, for instance, into local currency. Boom, you're done. There's nothing in between that's standing and taking your cash away from you. So B Rock is asking, would you work on a shipping company app that would care for inventory tracking, or does Cardano have that in the works? I don't have the enough expertise to work on the, a shipping app or whatnot, but I know that there have been attempts by the industry, the shipping industry. IBM with Maersk basically came up with this blockchain solution. I don't think it went anywhere. And I know why, or I suspect why, because if you're a shipping company, right, and you're asked to put all your records on a blockchain that's owned by IBM and Maersk, you start questioning things, right? You're like, okay, you want me to put all my information there, and then you're gonna use all that information in order to take my clients? No, thank you. So I think there has to be some sort of an open platform that's owned by no one, and that would inspire confidence by all these other companies, right? Just the way that internet is used by everybody, and we just basically use it because it's not owned by anybody. There's a governing body, but ownership of internet is pretty much nobody questions that. So something like that will have to happen for industries and for companies in order to accelerate the adoption, and which is why I am so I am very, very bullish about the open kind of blockchain, because the closed kind of blockchain always creates these issues about, who's owning that? Can they jack up the prices when I build something on top of it? And if the answer is yes, and that company, let's say, is a profit-seeking company because they have shareholders, then that becomes a strategically bad decision. It's you don't want to corner yourself to one or two vendors there that could just basically siphon off all your profits. So if it's something like Cardano, where the community decides on the level of fees, for instance, and we try to keep it low because we want to grow the volume, then it becomes a self-fulfilling, a virtuous cycle, where the more activity we see, the more the lower we can the the lower the transaction fee could become, and then still the pool operators and whoever is maintaining the infrastructure is going to make a healthy sort of profit to sustain it economically. So so I hope that answered your questions, B Rock. What do you think about Celsius? Okay, sorry, guys and girls, I have to leave. Good job. Hi, Heinz. It was great having you. Every time there's somebody who comes on, it's always good to have people watching this thing. Amazing that you could join. Mr. Multi-Checker. Hi, Mr. Multi-Checker. I remember you from last time. You had really good questions. Can enterprise on the Cardano platform use the treasury system for their own benefit or customer engagement? That would be very interesting. So, the treasury system in Cardano is pretty open for everybody, right? So if there's a company that says, okay, I'm going to come and build X, Y, and Z, and that could, create these kind of benefits for the Cardano community. So let's say that I'm a company that would like to leverage the Cardano's ecosystem. But in order for me to be incentivized to do that, can the Cardano community fork the development cost? That could be a something that could be arranged, right? So if somebody wants to build, but they, and they want to bring their customers onto Cardano, the community would be better off having that business or company on the blockchain. I think every sort of proposal will have to stand on its own merits, and that's where it becomes very critical that we have a number of people with skill sets to actually evaluate these projects. Because as the time goes by and the treasury system gets really big and really powerful, we will see corporations actually bidding for projects and trying to build something on Cardano. It's coming, guys. It's going to be very serious. Companies like Microsoft and IBM eventually will come to Cardano, I hope, in the future, to build applications that will be very important for the ecosystem and for the global financial and business community as a whole. Catalyst, Stacy, one step at a time, my friend. Yeah, Stacy. No, I mean, like we are just in the beginning of realizing the potential of blockchain technology. And what gets me really excited is the fact that some of the most prominent sort of countries like the United States are realizing that this technology needs to be leveraged, and instead of basically stifling its growth, just the way that we did with internet. Basically, when internet got open, for instance, anybody could be a Google, right? Anybody could be the Facebook of the internet because it's open, right? So the Googles and the Facebooks of the world could have been invented somewhere in Russia, right? But the fact that we did that first, and we basically fostered the development of these technologies on top of internet by having that openness and regulatory sort of favorable sort of environment, made sure that we have these companies, and as time went by, these companies grew really big and powerful, and they generate taxes, that they hire people, and they actually propel the company, the country forward. So the same thing is happening, I think, with open blockchain. So you realize that open blockchain is going to be there, and the best way for a country to be competitive is to create favorable conditions for its development. So what are those? You basically create conditions where the dApp developers will want to come and develop in your country, and live here, create companies on top of these blockchains, and generate employment and economic activity. And by that, you can capture a lot of value in the form of taxes, because governments need to charge taxes in order to be self-sustainable also. So it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. Carlo Carlos Hernandez is saying that I was out more than 20% trying to do transactions on Ethereum. That's a good point, Carlos. And 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 the reason why I mentioned this is that the proof of work doesn't scale in terms of transactions per second as you get more activity on the network. Now, if the transactions, the number of transactions go up, the only thing that moves is the price, because it becomes very expensive for the miners. It's not expensive for the miners, but the network congestion starts going up. So what happens is that the price goes up, and actually the price doesn't go up that much. I think it's if the price goes up, the miners are not incentivized to reduce the transaction fees, because reducing them actually increases the bloat again. So what happens is that the price goes up in order to compensate the miners for processing these transactions, and you cannot have more miners in order to process them faster, because there's a theoretical maximum limit of 15 transactions per second. So there's nothing you can do to improve that, and that's the basic flaw of proof of work, right? There's nothing you can do in order to create more capacity for transactions to go through. So what happens is that you have higher the miners basically taking all the cream of the cream from the top, basically only producing taking the transactions that give them a lot of money. So that's what happens. In Cardano, that's not the case, because the transaction costs are fixed, and me as a staple operator, I have zero control over which transactions I pick in order to process, because it doesn't work that way. I at any point in time, my buffer on my server is basically is filled with random transactions that are getting passed around, and if my turn comes, whatever I see on my buffer, my node sees on the buffer, just basically packages it up and sends it out to the network as in form of a block. So it's very agnostic in that regard in Cardano, which is very good, because that's how it should be. You can't just basically say, oh, this guy is sending me $100, so I'm just gonna get this guy's transaction. And you don't want your infrastructure to operate that way, I think. And if there is a time when the congestion is so big that we can't process all these transactions, I'm sure we will have Hydra by that time. I think Charles Hoskinson has done the calculations, and we have a lot of headroom there for now. So Multi-checker is saying, hi, Umed, what do you think was the halt for mainstream adoption of blockchain technology after 2017? I just read the McKinsey post, which argued that scalability, security, and sustainability are other the reasons. Well, here's the thing, Multi-checker, Mr. Multi-checker 7. A lot of stuff that I read in the traditional finance media or traditional business media, they are really not up to date with what's going on in the blockchain technology or in the crypto. They are taking into consideration the proof of work as like the only available solution right now, because for some reason they don't see past Bitcoin or Ethereum at this point. And then they say, okay, well, we have these problems, so, it's a great technology, but, it can't be scaled up or whatnot. But nobody looks at Cardano, for instance, right? Nobody looks at Algorand, what they're doing and whatnot, or Avalanche for that matter. These companies or these blockchains are actually the third generation blockchains that are quite capable of any type of transactions you throw at them. Or maybe most of the things that you could throw at them at this point are, you could process them. There's another one that kind of could process a lot of transactions. That was XRP, but I wasn't quite sold with, I couldn't quite buy their architecture, because I thought that they were quite centralized, and all these nodes that send messages to each other or controlled or some way influenced by one company. And that was not a good sort of setup that I would consider solid for the blockchain industry. Now, B-Rock is saying, hypothetically, if Cardano treasury grows exponentially, do the mass adoption to do the mass adoption, could the community start purchasing companies and give ADA holders dividends? Oh, that's a good that's a good that is a good a way of looking at it. It's one of the ways that I floated the idea early, I think about a month or two ago, that if there is an ERC20 token, right, that is generating a lot of sort of utility and use case, we as a community in the treasury, we could use the treasury funds in order to bring them on board and basically say, hey, you guys, you have this number of clients, this number of customers on Ethereum. How about we bring you guys on board, but instead of issuing your own token, you just use ADA, right? And the way we would just basically structure the deal, because I think it's kind of an M&A type of deal in the blockchain. The way you would structure the deal, you would just basically take the market cap of that ERC20 token, and then you negotiate your price with them, and then say, okay, let's say that your market cap is like $100 million worth of ERC20 token, and then we on Cardano we issue let's say $90 million worth of ADA, and then give that ADA to the token holders of Ethereum. Ethereum-based ERC20 token holders, and then bring them into our ecosystem and block them up into a special sort of contract. And I don't know if technically that's possible, but it would be great to actually use ADA as a token, a governance token. Maybe we could just color them. There are these possibilities to color ADA. So you could basically say this ADA has, the ability to govern, a company X, Y, and Z. So you could basically, on top of being just a cryptocurrency, you could also have other attached properties to it. So you could vote on the governance of that former ERC20 token, and by bringing that value onto the ecosystem, you could basically capture that stream of incomes into the future. So that way we could just basically bring in the value as fast as possible to the ecosystem without having to incubate and finance them from zero. Because let's face it, some of those utilities have been addressed, or some of the demands for whatever they issued their token has been out there. They probably were successful in capturing that part of the market, and the best way for us to capture them is to bring them into the ecosystem. So Kaizen Crypto is here. Kaizen Crypto, I need to send you a link if you want to join. Let's see. Okay. So you are at work. Okay. Cool. No, guys, if you have any questions about anything that is in your mind, I'm more than happy to answer. Kaizen Crypto recently posted a very, very good question about congestions and the fees, and I hope I made my point clear about the architecture of Cardano, which is brilliantly designed. I mean, like, I cannot stop talking about Cardano because, they thought about everything ahead of time. Like, why do you need to convolute your congestion with the price of your token? It just doesn't make sense. These are two different issues. So so if you fix the transaction fees, that takes care of your rising price, basically, right? So if the price rises, we always can basically say, let's bring it down to like whatever dollar amount should be. So if you are a developer, right, and you want some stability around the price, because you pay your bills in US dollars, for instance, you want a stable price, stable costs, And stability in the financial system, in the business systems, is it commands a high premium. So if you are a developer, you want to have control over your costs, Cardano is the place to build your dApps, because you know that the costs are fixed, and if the price goes up, I'm sure the community will say, let's say that ADA is $10, we're gonna bring down the fee to a level where it was whatever it is today if we want to, right? And it will be a sensible solution, because nobody wants to have high fees so that it drives off the developers to other platforms, because there are other platforms. It's competition, right? So you want to have the lowest cost possible, the best technology possible, the most decentralized technology possible, and the most stable and secure platform possible. And Cardano checks all the boxes. Now, when it comes to congestions, we might have some theoretical value that we cannot go beyond with the current architecture. And if and when we hit that, I'm sure we have Hydra in the works right now. I'm sure IOG is thinking about deploying something that will scale infinitely. So if and when we hit that theoretical maximum, and before we get to that, I think there are a lot of improvements on the network stack that could be done. And I've heard many times Duncan mention it, that there are many tweaks that we could do in order to improve the transaction throughput anyway. So there are many efficiency gains there to roll out before even we get to the point where we need Hydra to take care of the excess transactions. Yeah. So Kaizen, Pritesh, I heard that you're working and a lot of people are asking about the crypto these days. It's quite crazy, because I kind of have the same type of feedback every time there's a price movement that captures attention. You can see that probably in the media. People start asking about crypto. I get bombarded by questions and whatnot. So yeah. And no, I guess if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I mean, where's everybody hailing from? I know that there was Singapore. I want to just get a quick kind of temperature check about what countries are there right now, and maybe it will help me in the future to sort of tweak the timing of these AMAs. I decided to do this AMA instead of another slot leader episode. Just because there are so many great things that happened in the Cardano community and the crypto that it requires a little bit of hashing out, and people might have a lot of questions. So that's why, I'm here to take your questions and, interact with you. So Stephen McPherson is asking, is it feasible to become an SPO even if I still need to learn the technical skills? I have a background in accounting, but I am interested in managing a node. All right. Stephen, that's a great question. Look, I have background in finance, and as long as you're logical and if you're technically inclined, I built my first computer when I was a teenager, and I'm quite well versed in how the computers work. In my family, I'm the computer guy, right? So, and it's not that difficult if you know how to Google pretty much to learn anything about computers these days. How the network works, how the memory works, how the RAM and ROM and whatnot, and how the computing, especially you need to learn the Linux system and the CLI. And once you get those sort of basics, there are many guides to like sort of help you to become an SPO, but it's a very demanding job. I'll have to tell you up front, there are days and nights that, especially on the ITN, I could not sleep because I was concerned that, my node wouldn't run properly in those early days, right? The Haskell node is just a piece of technology, just a marvel of technology in that regard. I mean, that being said, we have a lot of brilliant engineers in the Cardano community, like the Clio One. Basically, he's a pooled operator of. There's another guy. I think his name kind of escapes me, but he came up with a way to basically connect all the nodes while the networking stack is being worked on. But yeah, I mean, if you have time and dedication, you might be able to pull it off. I mean, there are not a whole lot of people who don't have technical skills can do that. But if you want to participate in other ways, there are ways to basically utilize your accounting skills, for instance, to build a DApp. If you can pair up with some developer and build something that could be useful. On the accounting side, I can tell you that it's coming, that you would have companies, for instance, right, charging their clients cryptocurrency and then basically spending cryptocurrency. So you're talking about the balance sheets and income statements and cash flow statements all being generated from the data from the blockchain. If you want to work on something like that, that would be the next sort of the frontier for somebody like you. If you can pair up with somebody to translate all that data from the blockchain into these three financial statements, you will make a killing pretty much. So we've got, let's see, we've got Sweden, we've got Germany, we've got California. Stephen, California. Okay, Taiwan, US, Canada, Washington. Stacy, are you from Washington State or Washington D.C.? Eastern United States. Thanks, Stephen. I really appreciate everybody who's watching Slot Leader. It was created in order to kind of fill the gap between, the world of blockchain that we are all in and the world of normal people, where they don't even want to sort of look into blockchain because, they are not excited by it. The difference between the protocols that we are dealing with and FTP is that money is involved, right? And I'm not talking money in terms of like making money, but moving value is the next development in next stage in our evolution. It's just so exciting. I've always wanted to be in a intersection of finance and technology. And quite frankly, the fintech, the traditional fintech couldn't quite cut it because we were not innovating enough there. We were trying to basically innovate on top of the current existing rails and the regulations, and it just didn't work. I don't want to be too harsh, but it kind of, it kind of looked like putting a lipstick on a pig and basically calling it a beautiful girl. I don't know, but fintech was interesting for me quite a while ago. But the moment I found out that blockchain could do so many things better and could improve our global well-being as species, I was all in. And it took me a while to get to Cardano because Cardano is so philosophically and technologically aligned with my values that I just don't see any other blockchain to dominate the space. Natal, Brazil. Washington State. Why is it embarrassingly stately, Stacy? What's happening there? Is there anything else I've missed, by the way, in the crypto world, the blockchain world? I try to keep up with everything that's happening. My Twitter feed is quite varied I try to basically get people to follow people who generate some certain interesting insights, but I always miss something. Brazil. Yeah. Antonio, never been to Brazil. I want to go to Brazil though. It's one of those destinations that I've always wanted to go. I met a lot of Brazilians in my life, so yeah. So Mr. Multi-Checker is asking, can you elaborate again how external businesses that migrate to Cardano can use the built-in governance mechanism for internal usage? Oh, I see what you mean. Is it even possible? Would they be superior to other companies? I never thought about this, but I recently, yesterday actually, Charles Hoskinson mentioned that if you have a token, and you could be token or any other business, and you come to the ecosystem in Cardano, you will be able to use and leverage the governance structure that we built for ourselves. And if you want to sort of, get a vote from your shareholders, that's another fascinating part. You could talk, you can talk about this part for hours. For instance, the companies, when you buy a share of, let's say, Apple, they don't know that you own it. You know why? Because these shares get changed. They change their owners, I don't know, multiple million times a second these days, right? So it's very cumbersome for companies like Apple to actually keep track of their shareholders. Now, with Cardano and blockchain, that information becomes another thing. I'm gonna just step back. Apple pays millions of dollars in order to find out who their shareholders are, in order to send them a letter to make a decision on X, Y, and Z. And usually, what happens is that they have proxy voting, and then say, okay, well, I'm gonna give my rights to vote on issues to company A, to company B, whoever is holding your assets, basically, right? And it's very removed. You don't know what the issues are, and you don't care many times, or you can basically abstain from vote. Now that creates a lot of sort of opportunities for some special interest groups to actually push their agenda and make this company go into a direction that they want. Now, if they issue their shares, let's say, right, on Cardano, and they keep track of that shares, well, first of all, keeping track of those shares is going to be trivial. Anytime you just basically take a snapshot of your holdings, and whoever had that token or share the representation of shares will be the shareholder of your company at that time, and it's going to be much more easier. So yes, I see a lot of efficiency improvements in let's say traditional companies moving their traditional governance structures into Cardano, and if they start doing it by greater numbers, every time you need to move, let's say, that share, you have to pay the network fee, whether it's paid in ADA or in USDC, for instance. I mean, I would love to see USDC being also employed in payment of fees, or you could pay in Apple shares. I don't care. Apple shares, I would take it as an SPL. Um, and it's the beautiful thing about that is that it creates a very stable sort of income for stable operators. It's going to be a basket of sort of very valuable securities and currencies that will not change in value that much. So it's a win-win situation there. I hope I understood your question. Let me know, Mr. Multi-Checker. That was a great question, by the way. The B Rock is asking, will the SPO be compensated only in ADA for all transaction verifications, or will they be also reimbursed with the wrap token from a coin that utilizes Cardano technology? I think I kind of touched upon that in my previous answer. But yeah, I mean, look, there is a possibility to get paid in many different kinds of tokens. The difficult part is deciding which one of these tokens actually is worth considering, right? And so that will be a decision that we'll have to make collectively. I don't mind getting paid in US dollars. USDC is one of these sort of ERC20 tokens that has a value. It's backed by the US dollar, and it's regulated in the United States. I'm quite comfortable getting paid for that. And if Apple, or whoever, let's say that Fortune 500 company decides to start, communicating with their, shareholders using Cardano blockchain, and they issue the shares on the Cardano blockchain, and they keep track of it, and interact with their shareholders that way. If they want to move these shares, anybody who wants to buy and sell them, let's say they have a choice to pay the transaction fees in instantaneously in Apple stock or whatever, the stock of the choice, then they should be able to do that. Well, we have to decide whether that company or that ERC20 token is valuable enough for us to actually to get paid, because I don't want to be I don't want my pool to be paid in some a worthless token that I have no use for, right? So it has to be there has to be some sort of a criteria, and I would think that if I were to basically put, if I had to design that, I would make sure that it's it's a stable token like USDC, or it's a very highly sort of capitalized ERC20 token that has utility, that has real use cases, and has a good market cap that will back it up. And if I let's say don't like it or want to exit, I could easily exit that position if I wanted to. Yeah. Canada, Toronto. Oh yeah, Toronto is a great city, by the way. Joe Farr is saying that he or she is from Canada, and I mean, when I was in Toronto, I kind of felt that I'm back in. I mean, I'm not too far away, or maybe not even outside of the United States, but there were some quirky things about Toronto. I mean, like there's one thing that kind of caught my attention, was that the way that you guys name your restaurants, they have always like some sort of humor in it. Like I remember this coffee shop called How Are You? It's like Java You. And I mean, I kind of find those kind of things interesting. And that was only one of many different things that I kind of noticed in that regard. So Eye of the King is actually asking, what do you think about regard saying ADA might become the next reserve currency, and the Cardano Foundation wanting to onboard 50 banks in 2021? Oh, Eye of the King. I did not know that. I don't know. It's really hard to keep up with what's going on in Cardano community. There's a lot of people, are talking to different parts of the ecosystem. It would be awesome if that's the case. I would not rule that out, because our monetary system in Cardano is very much like Bitcoin in that regard. You could probably use it as a store of value. And one of the things that kind of, as somebody who's coming from finance, made me have reservations about these systems where you cannot inflate your monetary base in order to keep up with the demand. But here's the thing: if the demand goes up, there's in the real life, the price the prices are sticky. Usually they don't go down in order to accommodate the economic activity. And that's why the central banks are kind of encouraged to create a lot of money in order to create the economy moving forward, right? So that's why there's inflation and the target inflation. But in systems like Cardano, we have, for the first time in the history of monetary systems, an experiment where the monetary units, the total number of monetary units are actually fixed. You cannot go beyond that. But in order to keep the system actually developing and get them to encourage economic activity, you can bring down the price. You can always bring down the price, and that's a community decision. So in effect, instead of moving increasing the monetary base, you're just basically saying that for the same amount of money that you have, you can buy more and more and more down the road. So as the time progresses, you will still be able to transact and grow your business and grow the economy of the Cardano economy. Because the prices will always go down. And one of the ways I can tell you could sort of think about that is like, go back 10 years ago and think about how, what kind of computer you could buy. And the answer would be like, I don't know, Pentium 4, or, I don't know, which has probably a quarter of its capacity that it does now. And you fast forward to today, the same amount of money buys you a much more powerful computer. Or, I mean, let's just be very stark about this and say, 1970 or 60s, when we started putting people on the moon, the amount of processing capacity that those ships had is actually whatever you use in your phone. And imagine how many billions and millions of dollars the government spent at that point in time in order to make those things a success. And now you can actually have the same thing in terms of processing capacity with, it becomes accessible. So the point is, if the price keeps going down, the price of transactions I'm talking about here in Cardano community or Cardano network, you will still have the incentives for companies to build and to develop, to actually grow the infrastructure and grow the businesses on top of it. So I mean, that's basically my take on it. Did you miss Ergo? Valerian Fellow is asking. What's happening with Ergo, by the way, Valerian? Varium, sorry. Going to the 6th place. Antonio, Ada is going to it is going to a place that doesn't exist right now, in a sense, in terms of charts, because it's something that's called a blue ocean strategy. Instead of basically competing with the same guys on the same issues, you basically say, hey, this blockchain technology has so much potential. Why do I need to compete with Ethereum on utility, right? Or with Bitcoin on store of value? I'm just going to eat the world. And that's why it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to do. This technology isn't for the geeks to exchange, currency with each other and be happy about this. Nothing wrong with geeks. I'm one of them. I am the guy who's very intellectually curious. I always like to learn new things, and computers and code. Everything excites me in that regard. But there are real problems out there. There are real people out there. They don't care about the underlying technology, but they do care about their goods and services being delivered really fast. And blockchain actually improves that. What do you guys think about Open Bazaar? I don't know if you are familiar with Open Bazaar, but I would like to know your take. I think Open Bazaar is a really good fit for Cardano's ecosystem. And well, let me know what you think, and I'll share my thoughts with you. If I'm not mistaken, says Dr. Srock, D-Srock, ADA would be the settlement layer, so you could create token on top of it that allows for inflation while still bringing value to the underlying token. D-Srock, that's one of the other ways you could handle that. So you could say ADA is going to be kind of like a gold in our monetary system with inflation, a rate that goes down over time, and then you could create an inflationary monetary unit that will have the properties of a fiat. Let's say that we will have the central bank type of, or not the central bank, because this is a community will decide, right? So the community could say, okay, well, you can pay with ADA, which goes down over time. The supply of which is fixed, but the inflation rate of which goes down over time. So it kind of behaves like a store of value. Or you could pay your transactions in, let's just make up a name, ADA Lite or something. I don't know. That will still exist on Cardano's network, but its monetary policy will be distinct. Let's say that we would adopt a monetary policy that we will increase its supply by 3% constantly over whatever value it has, or the total value it has, and that will have an effect. In effect, will encourage the growth of the ecosystem as the demand picks up. So there's these two kind of options for us, and we have to kind of decide on which one is the best. I mean, again, I haven't thought through about pros and cons of these two options, but I know that they technically could exist on Cardano. I hope D-Srock, this actually answers your question. Oh yeah, Mr. Multi-Checker, you're saying that a company that would like to invest in, let's say, two projects, and they could use the Cardano's voting mechanism in order to make that decision. Now, in that regard, when you're thinking about a resource allocation for a company, unless they have a very wide constituent of people who would like to vote on this, I don't see the Cardano blockchain being used as a means of efficiently allocating capital. And that's because they have a structure, right? They usually, companies have an investment committee. They know their business, and the nature of their business. They know ins and outs, and these things are very closely guarded, to be honest with you, because that's their livelihood, their corporate sort of know-how, and and you wouldn't want those things to take place on an open blockchain. Maybe there is a way to sort of vote on these things, using encryption, so you could know that certain votes took place with regarding certain things, and those things would be expressed as hashes rather than anything else. So you could verify those votes, you could tally those votes on Cardano, but the essence of what those votes were about would be hidden. So maybe something like that could happen, but usually there are 10 or 11 people on a corporate sort of level that make these kind of decisions, and they are heads of departments. They know their business really well, and yeah, I mean, maybe yes, but I don't see the application of technology like Cardano saving them millions of dollars for that, because it's just usually some guy is taking notes on what was discussed and what was proposed and what was the tallying vote. So maybe they could save, I don't know, a couple of $100,000 a year on that, but yeah, I mean, it depends, right? Depends what we're talking about. So yeah, let me talk about open bazaar. The concept itself is fascinating. So if you think about Amazon, right? Let's say I'm some guy in Bangladesh, and I have this special skill. I can produce a special figurine that is very highly sought after, and my current channel to get this to my customer is very cumbersome, and by the time it gets to your customer, basically becomes very expensive, and the middleman basically takes a lot of that value. So if I'm producing this and selling it for $2 to the middleman, and the middleman takes it and then sell it to another middleman, and by the time it gets to the United States, it basically costs $20, but I only get 10% of that value. Now, the open bazaar, basically what it does is that it allows you to create that value and sell it directly to your consumer. And yes, there will be a middleman in the middle to deliver that product, but you are directly talking to your own customer. And there isn't one company like Amazon taking 30% of your profit, because they are giving you this platform, right? So that was basically the gist of their value proposition, and it creates a lot of problems too, because you have these guys who are selling, these guys who are buying, and you don't know if they are good actors. So you could basically sell your figurine to this guy, and then this guy wouldn't pay you, or you could buy it and the guy wouldn't deliver. So there were mechanisms as early as 2018, when I looked at them, that would create some sort of ranking or reputation metrics for people and merchants that would have to address that. I don't know where they went, but it would be great to have that on Cardano. You know why? Because when we have these wallets and ability for anybody to create them and interact with each other, they need a marketplace to be able to showcase their products, their services, and then get paid in ADA. And it's unfortunate that they are the main developer behind the open bazaar is kind of walking away from the project, but it would be an amazing opportunity for us to come in and basically take this project to the next level. And the treasury funds, it's a perfect use case for us. I think it will create a lot of utility for the Cardano community, and it will bring users. And these guys, have users, and maybe not as much as we would like them to be, but we could take it to the next level. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Multi-checker 7. That's another thing about permissioned and permissionless. You know, I mean, I tend to think that permission blockchain does not need to exist in the confines of the single corporation, because if you don't need blockchain for that, really, I don't understand why people want permission blockchain within the same company. It just doesn't make sense. But maybe within 3 or 4 companies forming a consortium could be a way to deal with that. Yeah. Is there anything else I missed this week? Would love to basically hear from you guys. Is there anything you like about slot leader? Anything that you would like me to do better? I know I got a new lens that puts my face away from you guys. There has been a lot of feedback on that. So these things are expensive. So I bought a new lens that actually removes me a little bit further. I don't have a lot of space behind the computer to actually put this thing away from me. So I struggled a little bit there, but right now I think we're good. Let me know if you like my face this far away. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, so Kaizen Crypto, Pritesh is saying it's a huge opportunity. I'm glad you agree, because not a whole lot of people understand what they do, but it's a pretty cool concept. I mean, if you think about Ubers of the world, right? If you think about Amazons of the world, they're just sitting there in the middle, and honestly, they're leveraging the internet technology to create value, but they don't need to be making that much money. And I'm not saying that the companies should not make money. I'm just saying that the technology is there to actually completely disrupt them. And we're talking about the likes of open bazaar, and this technology, the open bazaar, could be sustained, economically sustained, at much lower fees, because it's open blockchain. It runs on its own. You don't need hundreds and thousands of people there to to develop it. We could have certain parts of it, we could finance certain parts of it to be developed, but those could be one-off projects, and there could be people who would be working on this platform on a permanent basis. But I don't think their their cost would be so prohibitive, or they need to be so expensive, because the underlying infrastructure that carries that load for you is much cheaper compared to the structure that exists right now. Because every time you transact on Amazon or eBay, somebody has to get paid in that company, right? So they have to charge you a fee that makes them sustainable, and they have lawyers, they have administrative staff, they have coders and things like that, right? So it's an expensive cost structure. Compare that to an open blockchain where everything just works on its own. It's an amazing sort of cost saving infrastructure that works on its own. So hey, Big Pay, how are you? Good to see you here, Big Pay. Yeah, I mean, I love your show. It's amazing that we have community members such as yourself to actually cover a lot of questions for everybody. Glad you could make it. Anything else you want me to guys to cover today? I mean, it's been kind of a more than an hour right now, so maybe if there's nothing else that you would like me to consider, maybe we will call it a day. But I'll give you guys a few minutes. I know that there's a lag between what I say and what you hear and all that and what you type. So I'm gonna wait a little bit here. Hey, Jeremy. Good to see you here, Jeremy. Jeremy is another finance guy, by the way. For those of you who don't know, he's with Cardano Foundation, and talk to him. He's a great guy. Um, so B Rock is asking if SPO provides validation for all transactions, why wouldn't every additional project using Cardano be compelled to pay for the said service in a wrapped token at the same rate as ADA users? Yes, I mean that's the thing. So you will have the same. Let's say that we decide that every transaction should cost you 15 cents, no matter what the price is out there, and we decide that we will look at this price. Let's say every quarter, we will just come together as a community and reset it. If the price is high, we reset it. If the price is low, let's be honest, we have to kind of mark it up. So that's the interim solution that I see, and it doesn't really matter whether you're paying with ADA or whether you're paying with a wrapped Bitcoin or wrapped Ethereum or whatever exists at that time that is approved to be used as a transaction. You will pay in US dollar terms the same amount. So whether you're sending any token you think of, you will pay the same rate in US dollars. So I hope that makes it clear. All right, Big Pay. I will take that into consideration. He's just basically giving me tips about how to increase the reduce the latency. I didn't know about that, so I'll probably fix that next time. Stacy's saying that it is killing it since the stream began. I hope you're right. I don't know if this is it's probably a coincidence, but it's good to see ADA to actually be recognized for whatever it is. I mean, there's one thing that bothers me so much in crypto is that there's so much um, misinformation out there. Like, guys, just sit down and study whatever you own, and don't be married to your opinion or to your purchases for that matter. There's a lot of people who are disenchanted right now about XRP. I never touched that thing, to be honest. And that's just my personal opinion, right? I think, I respect whoever built that technology. They have a different view. I respect that. And, I just happen to be very well aligned with Cardano. I mean, ever since I read that essay that was written by Charles Hoskinson about why Cardano, and it just basically, grew into me in a sense, right? So it was a vision that I fully appreciated. And as the time went, and I saw the progress in Cardano, I could only be so much happy that I'm part of this community and part of this technology, because it truly has a tremendous opportunity to change the way we do business. It's just like the next evolution in our development as species, in a sense. There's another guy. He's of Japanese descent. He is a good colleague of mine from way back when, and he made this very deep observations. Right? He said that blockchain is the type of thing that you could probably draw parallels in historical terms by basically thinking that, humans just discovered fire, right? It has that kind of significance for humanity in general, and that something has changed in such a way that we will never be the same again, and I could not agree with him more, because it's the type of technology that utilizes internet, and it's the next evolution in for us to transfer value, express value, or anything of significance in a very secure way. And my hat is off to Bitcoin and Ethereum for that, because these two guys basically pioneered something in terms of ideas, and were the minimum viable product for us. We're iterating away from them because there are real concerns about the proof of work being too cumbersome for transaction processing. Um, but and at the same time, we don't want to give up the decentralization part of it, because other projects, for instance, they said, okay, we're going to improve the transaction processing, but we're going to have like 10 people deciding what happens with the protocol, and that's not acceptable either, in my books at least. All right. Da-da-da. Wow, big pay. It's at 25%, 25 cents. Wow, I did not know that. No, big pay. This is awesome. If if there's anything that I appreciate is good feedback. I don't get offended by feedback. I mean, unless it's like brutally sort of trying to be malicious, I always welcome it, because as a result, you always get better. I mean, why would I not want to have a feedback? So yeah, B Rock, Daedalus. The way I see it, and I think if I'm very certain that the IOG has thought about that. Daedalus will be a killer sort of portal. You think about that, right? Where you would not only just stake, but you could have all other different kinds of services in there. Um, whether it's confirming your identity to a loan officer in bank X. By the way, that's another thing, right? If banks use blockchain, they will need some way of identifying the customers. Atala Prism is right there. I mean, think about these like turnkey solutions. IOG has thought about all these challenges that make crypto challenging for current customers, and built these functionalities ahead of time. They thought about it ahead of time, and they built them. And now they're finalizing everything. And then the banks are coming in and saying, hey, we're going to be using blockchain technology in order to move value. And I don't blame them. It's a better technology to use, cheaper technology to use, and it will get to a point where everybody will be using Cardano or some other blockchain that will be interoperable with Cardano, for instance, and they wouldn't even know it. It's just going to be like I'm using my app on my phone, but it's connected to Cardano network. Yeah, awesome, 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 awesome. Yeah. Anything else I missed, guys? I know I've been going on for like hours right now, an hour, I guess. So more than an hour. But it's always great to talk to you guys. Always amazing. We have an amazing community, I have to say. I'm kind of involved in different facets of Cardano, from running a stake pool to trying to basically, see how the governance structures work, and giving my opinion on that, and and I'm very interested in the monetary policy side of things, and I'm very much looking forward to Cardano hubs in different parts of the world. I think that's going to be a big driver for adoption. Also, I know that this this type of structure could be a very good way, or a very cheap way to introduce Cardano to the communities outside of crypto. And I hope that the hubs will become a reality sooner than later. What do you guys think about hubs, by the way? Would you go to a hub? Okay, once the COVID basically passes, or we all get immunized or whatnot. Oh yeah, so there's a question on the chat. EMS Soreka 10 is asking, do you think DeFi platforms like Celsius could make SPOs uncompetitive when they move to Cardano, as they will offer additional returns on top of the staking rewards? Now, here's the thing, right? I don't think the Celsius network or Celsius token basically makes SPOs uncompetitive. And that's because if you want additional returns, then the Celsius network has to, I mean, it has to absolutely has to offer you a better return. And those returns are not coming from staking. They're not staking your ADA, for instance. What happens, the way I understand it, again, caveat there, I need to study it very carefully before I can make a definitive sort of opinion. But the way I understand it, it's a credit market. It's like a bank, right? You have lots of ADA. Your option is A, you stake it with a pool, or B, you give it to you make it available in a market like a Celsius network, and they can give you a higher fee. And they have to give you a higher fee or higher interest rate, because otherwise, why would you move your, so the staking rate of return that you get is absolutely guaranteed. Well, yeah, it is guaranteed. The rate of return is fixed and guaranteed. But so what will happen in the Celsius network is that you will accept additional risks of not getting paid, but getting paid more. So that's the way that the finance works. The riskier the endeavor, the higher return it demands in order for you to actually move your ADA. So the reason why I don't think that it's a risk is that not everybody is willing to take that risk, right? So there might be people who would say, I don't care. I will have, I take 8% any day. Yes, this guy may not pay me back or whatnot, or I might take a haircut or whatever. There's a risk that I might, not get paid. But I will take 8%, whatever. Or there's a person who says, I don't care about 8%. I just want my returns every 5 days, and that's it. And, there are other guys on the other side of the trade who want ADA, and they might take it in order to trade. They might take it to do other things in the future. But in the interim, in the very near future, DeFi is all about taking the money in order to trade, it looks like. I don't see any other utility. But, but it also creates activity in the network. So the net effect is going to be positive for everybody. Now, the SPOs will have their own value proposition, just the way that the certificates of deposits have, right? You get your return guaranteed. It's low, but you get it. And the other side, if you want to go full, take on more risk, you get more. It's fine. Yeah, B Rock. I don't understand why ADA is only 25 cent. I wish I had more money to put into it. But it is what it is. Anyway, to interview Jeremy and get an update on the Bias Vineyard project. Oh, I've never heard about Bias Vineyard project. Be nice to interview Jeremy, and whenever he's got time, I would be more than happy to have him on Slot Leader. Mr. Mont says return would be from others paying interest in what they took out. Yeah, I mean that's basically what it is, right? So you take a loan, and that loan comes with an interest rate. Whatever you do with that loan is I guess, considering the current capacities of blockchain, is basically you are taking the loan in order to trade. In the future, you could do other things, and then you pay back the interest rate. And the beautiful part of it is that it's all market driven, right? The markets decide, what the price is, and that's the That's a great thing. Banks are being disrupted by apps like Celsius Network, and I think in the future, what in the future everything is going to be like Celsius is the network is the first sort of iteration of a future bank. You won't need a brick and mortar guy with like bunch of people, executives getting paid millions of dollars. You just need one app to because as a consumer, the thing that matters to you most is whether your bank account is secure, and it's secure, right? With open blockchain technology, it's secure, and whether you are going to get yield. Yield is an app killer app, and he is absolutely right there, because in the future we will have apps rather than banks, basically giving us these options, and as we progress in time, we will have more opportunities, rather than just yields. You could just basically get exposed to a bunch of different kinds of instruments. The way I was talking about Daedalus, for instance, right? You would be able to maybe in the future even buy and sell different kinds of products through Daedalus and a decentralized exchange. Yeah. All right. Big Pay. If you wanna join the conversation, I can drop you a link. Do you have something to say, or you would like to share your thoughts? I'm more than happy to drop you a link. Let me know. Boom. All right. All right. All right. Yeah, it's always good to sort of talk about these things, and my mind basically races through different kinds of scenarios every time a new development comes up, and I couldn't be more bullish about this technology and this space, as I see many different kinds of seemingly disparate data points coming in. The CFA Society, for instance, which is like a very authoritative body in the finance industry, is going to release on the 7th their findings on cryptocurrencies and digital assets. And it is going to be a big one. So digital assets are here to stay, and whoever has been critical of them most probably does not understand how they work. And again, there was back in the time when stocks were viewed with the same disdain as cryptocurrencies are. The options and the derivatives were looked down upon with the same disdain. But that the evolution and the utility that they provided over time was made clear. And fast forward 40 years in terms of 50 years in terms of history, and you've got yourself a very vibrant sort of marketplace that plays a role in the global economy. It's inevitable in that regard. Anyway, guys, it was great talking to you. It looks like we are hitting it's been an hour and a half pretty much, so I should get going too. I hope you had fun. I definitely had some really good fun here talking to you, and it's always great to talk to the audience. And I'll see you next time.